This is Joy News Prime.
This is Joy News Prime here on Joy News on Multi TV. In this edition, flags fly at half-mast today as the country begins 3 days of mourning for victims of last Wednesday's flood and fire disaster that struck Accra. The victims are meanwhile still pleading for assistance as they pick up the pieces. In a related development, the Environmental Protection Agency shuts down 3 restaurants operating from fuel filling stations in a renewed crackdown following last Wednesday's flood and fire tragedy. President Mahama justifies plan to scrap allowances for teacher trainees, insisting the decision will not be reversed. And motor insurance premiums will be seeing an astronomical increase effective tomorrow, unless there are any last-minute interventions. There's more business, sports, and international news coming up in the next 60 minutes. To stay tuned. This is the first sunny day after the flooding that claimed many lives around the city last Wednesday. Despite today being a Monday, there was no work for many people who live around the Kwame Nkrumah Circle as they spend time drying out what is left of their possessions. Francis Abang has the report.
So it's day 5 since the fire that ravaged the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, specifically the gold filling station, happened. Now people are waking up this morning, just days after the incident. It's been a tough 4 days for them. Where to sleep, food, water and clothing has been a major issue here. But let's find out if the situation is getting any better on day 5 since this incident happened at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. Let's just walk down and see what's happening. On the road that leads to the Unya Komla Close, that's just about 3 meters from the main road that takes you to the gold filling station. I can see people waking up, some washing their clothes this morning. I get the sense that they've got some water to wash what is left of their properties after the demolition, or let me say the fire accident happened here at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. There are lots of people here. Most of them are sorting out their clothes this morning. The sun is up, and so you would expect that they will take full advantage of it in drying their clothing and getting their lives back on track. So I'm here with Bernard. He is one of the people affected here at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. I can see him drying his clothes this morning. Bernard, how are you today?
I'm fine, very fine.
What are you doing? I can see you're drying your clothes, but what's happening?
There is no water in this area, so I went to the far place. There's a place called No Plant Station to wash my things. So I'm back to the house to carry my dress and wear some to work.
But let's find out for the other people whether their lives are any better and how they are returning to normal life again. You think that the concentration should not be on those who've died, but for those who are living. What exactly is your concern?
Now, my concern is now, those who are dead are gone. Now we need to take precautions to prevent further occurrences, because the dead have no problem, but the living. And so even though we are grieving, we cannot grieve. We can grieve so much that those who are grieving will also become dead bodies. And so those of us who are alive should pick up hope again. But then the next question is, what do we do so that this thing is not going to happen again? Because, you know, this area used to be a flood-prone area. But after those big gutters were constructed, the thing subsided. But I think that now they are choked. And so I was thinking that maybe around May or maybe April, May, they have to bring excavators and then they silt the big gutters.
Beyond your room, your house, is there anything you guys here are doing to clean up the place?
Actually, we are concentrating on our various houses first, because without our house, we can't go out and be doing something now. We need to clean things, so many things in our house before we get out. That's what we are doing for now.
It rained on Wednesday till Thursday morning. I look at the gutter. It's still full up. We have everything in the house left undone. So we can't leave our rooms and come and clean the streets.
Now, if the government can help us, our money, my results that can take me on, everything has gone. So if the government can make some provision against us on so many things.
Like what? When you say so many things, it's a long list.
Yeah, we know, our...
You said shelter, you don't have a place to sleep.
No, there's nothing to sleep on.
So where do you sleep? In the open?
I sit on a chair to daybreak. That's how I manage it.
You don't mean it?
I mean it, bro. You can even get to my house and talk to people in my home right now.
You too, same? You sleep outside?
For me, we've managed to clean a part of our room. It's 2 rooms. One is a bedroom. So we managed to clean the whole room. Yes. Okay. So because we've been sleeping there.
Because in my house, the water still flowing from the ground up to now. So even up, we just fetch some out, and we need the water still to clean some of the things again. So that's how it is.
So water is priority for you now, you guys?
Not water.
You need water?
Not water per se, because we're almost done of our things at home. And just that we need to clean some other things too.
Some clothing too.
So for cleaning, you need the water, don't you?
Because everything has gone into the water, mud on it, everything. So there's nothing we'll do again apart from water to clean them for a meantime.
Okay, all right. Okay. Gentlemen, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I wish you all the best. I'll be back later. Thank you. All right, so these are the guys who live around. They've shared their concerns with us. It's evident water is an important thing for them. But when it comes to cleaning the mess here, they say it's two-pronged. First, they think some help should come from somewhere. Maybe Zoomline or a waste management company should come help them clean their gutters, remove the filth from the streets. But also, they admit that they have to start that process also in themselves, trying to fix their own mess. From Kwame Nkrumah Circle here, I'm Francis Happen for Joy News.
Now, it's been some 6 years since the nation was hit by flood and fire tragedy. At least 150 people are officially confirmed to have perished in the twin disasters. People living along the Odo River, the main storm channel here in Accra, were the most affected as the flood swept away most of their properties. Derek Ekosam tells the story of how these people are picking up the pieces after the flood.
Close to this section of the Odo River is a settler community, Old Fadama, one of the worst affected by the June 3 floods. Residents tell me it was a devastating moment for them, seeing their properties washed away by the flood water whilst they looked on unable to save anything was very devastating. Properties worth thousands of Ghana cedis were lost and businesses have ground to a halt. But amidst the devastation, residents tell me how they are putting the pieces together.
Water came into my room because I was in a hurry to take care of myself. I lost some of my items like electronics and in fact I was very devastated. But when I heard what happened to other people in other communities, I rather join in like praying and mourning on behalf of those people. It's just cleaning. So after the flood, we were fortunate, it was not too severe, so our taps were still flowing, so we get water to clean our rooms. I have one room here, but that one, there's still a lot of water in it, and I've not cleaned that yet. I'll be cleaning it, and that's it. I have lost it, and that is it. I will have to work hard and buy other ones.
But you buy no, you name a good morning now, and so they call boost machines, any sika.
All my properties have been destroyed. My children's educational materials have all been swept away. I'm trying to find a replacement for them. We need help from Good Samaritans. We want to raise the height of our buildings. People should stop throwing waste products into the drains. That's the best solution.
Ne bompa so say saade na emba bi ye pese ye feel ana wo ma wo kwal na no no wo ye kwal ni ye mai enti e bia e fi na wo kwal ni mu na ye sa enti ye kwal na be boy.
Yes, right now what I want government to do is to try and form a watchdog so that anybody who throws rubbish into the gutter, then they can find the person, or to punish the person so that people will stop throwing rubbish into the gutter.
This building that serves as a pro bono center of education for the children in this area was also affected, putting teaching and learning on hold in the interim. The residents are also asking for support from government and philanthropists. But as they go about their daily activities, any sign of a gathering cloud scares them, so they offer a silent prayer that God prevents the occurrence of another flood. From Old Fadama in Accra, Derek Ekosam, Joy News.
Now, government, despite protests from teacher trainees, says it will not reverse the decision to scrap the payment of allowances to them. The trainees from across the country a few weeks ago stormed Accra to protest the replacement of the allowances with a student loan scheme. Some government officials, including Deputy Education Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, were forced to abandon an outreach at one of the training colleges after they were heckled by teacher trainees who had gathered for the event. Principals of colleges of education were at the Flagstaff House Monday with a list of requests, including the reinstitution of the allowances and the freeze on recruitment they say is hampering their work.
The teacher stands at the top of the whole pyramid when it comes to teaching and learning, and that's why government believes that we must continue to produce as many quality teachers as possible. There's been a fairly vexed issue to do with training allowances, and I believe that we should look at it, in a very balanced manner. It's not only to do with expanding the quota in the schools, which we've succeeded in doing by eliminating the training allowances, but also as a matter of equity, that if these are now tertiary institutions, you cannot have a situation that discriminates between those who are training to be graduate teachers in colleges of education and giving them training allowances, while their colleagues who are in the already established universities doing the same, training to become teachers are put on the student's loan. And so for equity, all students have been put on the student's loan so that they can finance, the cost of their education and be able to pay back so that their younger brothers and sisters and probably their children and grandchildren coming can also have access to that same student loan. And so I'll just urge that our trainees understand. Indeed, in the way it was handled, it was not abrogated immediately. For all those who already were in the colleges, they were, grandfathered, and so that allowances continued to be paid. It was those who came in as fresh students who were asked to go to the Students' Loan Trust. And we will crave your indulgence to explain to your trainees the reasoning behind this.
President Mahama, however, said it will be unfair. He was speaking to the teacher trainee issues, but still at the presidency. The planning committee for the establishment of the University of Sustainable Environmental Studies and Applied Research to be established in the Eastern region presented their report to the president. The report details what government must do to get the university established, as well as a blueprint on how the university must be run. Dr. Christina Makuniama is the convener of the committee.
Your Excellency, we've come to present to you what I would call a report in two parts. The first part, a smaller document that gives recommendations on what we expect that government will do to bring this matter to fruition, and a slightly larger document which will be like a blueprint for whoever is appointed and charged to run this institution, to use as a blueprint to work out for the university to carry out its mandate. We took cognizance of the climate change issues and agricultural impacts on the environment. So we looked at all of these, and then in the area of young people requiring to be employed and they themselves finding employment for themselves, but being taught how to do it at the university. To begin with, 4 undergraduate schools, each one with several departments, and 1 graduate school, and then 3 centers of excellence. Some of the recommendations that we originally put in here, coming to Your Excellency to see where you could help us find the resources. Your Minister of Education and her team have already started work on it already.
But the president said they're going to look into the issue.
For a country like Ghana that is growing in middle income, there are some specialized skills that we need, for which the public or the government, the state, must still take the responsibility of creating the opportunities to build up human resource in these areas. And that's why the last 3 universities that we have set up are very specialized universities. And I'm happy to note that this 3rd new university that we're about to set up in the Eastern region in Somanya will concentrate on environment and sustainable development, and also with a focus on agriculture, because agriculture is one of the main preoccupations of our people, and it's the major driver of our economy. And so we have a lot of hope and expectation in this particular university. I'm happy that the Benin Committee, with your indefatigable convener, Amwakunyama, have done this job very diligently. I'm sure that you learned from the lessons of the last 2 universities that were set up. And I noticed that this has gone more systematically than we did in the initial period. We're all waiting for Parliament to pass the appropriate legislative instruments so that we can move the next step towards setting up the fiscal structures of the university and establishing the faculty.
Insurance premiums for motor insurance policies, barring any last-minute innovations, will be going up from tomorrow. Third-party policies, for instance, effective tomorrow, will cost 8 times more. The country's insurance companies decided on the implementation date at a meeting today. There has been public outcry over the increase, but the insurance firms say it has been long overdue.
We don't need to consult them. The banks, who do they consult when they are fixing interest rates? Even the media houses, even the media houses, when you are fixing rates for your advertisements, who do you consult? The truth is, what happened in 2010 was an exception, and it is not something we want to institutionalize as an industry, that we will sit down with so-called stakeholders to negotiate. We know what factors should go into our determining premiums. And excuse me to say, from the calculations that we have done, if a third-party policy works up to about 1 cedi, 30 pesos a day, let's ask ourselves, what influence will that 1 cedi, 30 pesos have on fares that are charged, transport fares?
Right, so the commercial transport operators were threatening to cease operations if the companies go ahead to effect the increase in premiums, arguing they were never consulted. But the president of the Ghana Insurance Association, as you heard him there, he's insisting that they really did not need to consult them. I'm joined on Joy News Prime by Emmanuel Ejay. He's with the business team at Joy 99.7 FM. Now, what is the justification for this astronomical increase?
Okay, this whole issue has been going on for some time. I mean, the insurance companies have been pursuing this since 2010. So it's never happened because of obvious opposition from the, drivers and other stakeholders. Now they think that, they can't help it any longer, because as far as the claims for this particular risk, that's the third-party insurance is concerned, it keeps going up. But the premium has always remained the same. And so there's that imbalance. So they don't have any option but to increase the premium to, match up with the claims payments they are making.
Now, the premiums are quite astronomical, because we're looking at what, in the case of third-party motor insurance, about 8 times, an increase of about 8 times. That's astronomical. Yeah. why would the National Insurance Commission allow a thing like this to be slapped on, you know, motor, you know, commercial transport operators?
Well, like I indicated, you know, discussions had been ongoing since 2010. There was a point in time where it was almost like it was going to be implemented, but then again, because of the opposition, it failed to materialize. So it had gotten to a point where they had no option but to go ahead with it. We understand that they actually planned implementing it at the beginning of the year, but then again, there were some interventions here and there, and so they had to, now they moved it to May, and then May 2, there were some issues, so they had to still postpone it till this time, and they think that this time around, they don't have any option. I'm talking about the insurance companies, and of course, this happened, you know, with the approval of the National Insurance Commission anyway. I just want to believe that the Commission, you know, agrees with them that maybe indeed, looking at their books, they are facing a bit of pressure.
Now, you've stated that on previous occasions, they've had to back down and postpone the implementation. From your understanding of what is taking place in the sector right now and within the economy and the opposition, you know, from the public, do you think that, you know, government may probably intervene in this instance?
Well, from what we gather, our sources indicate that to a very large extent, government is playing a role, because this thing was supposed to take effect today, but they had to hold the meeting because we understand that, you know, there was this intervention from certain quarters from government, and so that's why, you know, I mean, they had to hold on till today. They held a meeting and they have still decided to, and we are still picking that, you know, there are still some talks here and there to see how best this could be changed. We're not too sure whether this whole thing might be halted completely, but who knows, it could be delayed further, but for now, we know that it's taking effect tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much. You heard Emmanuel Ejay. He's with the business team at Joy FM. And there'll be more on this insurance premiums going up, coming up later on in business. If you're wondering whether you'll be allowed to pay in installments, you may have to stay tuned to hear what's coming up on business. We're taking a break. We'll be back with more stories. Stay tuned. The Environmental Protection Agency today followed up on its promise to do whatever is necessary to ensure filling stations sited especially in densely populated areas are safe. The exercise follows the deadly explosion at the Guel filling station at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, which claimed more than 150 lives and left scores more injured. As a first step, the EPA has shut down 3 restaurants operating from fuel filling stations and served closure notices on 2 of the stations. And Odame went along with the task force led by the sector minister.
The first stop was another Guel filling station, this time on the Spinkters Road, where a restaurant operating there was asked to shut down. Acting Executive Director at the EPA said no restaurant will be allowed to operate from a fuel filling station.
Not necessarily the location. Filling stations should not have sources of fire. It's a basic.
That you don't want any source of fire on any filling station?
It shouldn't be there. Given even the recent events where there was not even any restaurant or anything, this should, especially in these times, it's not something that we should close our eyes. We'll write to them to decommission it.
At the Batrona Total filling station, exposed cables were found in its warehouse and the operators were given up to tomorrow to fix it. That was not the only issue with the station. The EPA found the station had extensions to the structure that had not been permitted. Another fuel station under construction on the Spinkters Road was found to have no permit. The owner was unavailable, but the workers were directed to tell him to cease construction. At the engine oil filling station at Medina, opposite the University of Professional Studies, the task force had issues with a number of facilities attached to the pump station. Apart from its 2 restaurants, there was a church, 3 ATMs, a forex bureau, a supermarket, and others. The owner couldn't immediately produce a permit and was asked to present it to the EPA office on Tuesday morning.
this is one of many demolitions that will take place across the country. That is if word of Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, Barima Osei Asare, is to be taken seriously. Now he says that all filling stations that do not have permits will be shut down. He also says that the filling stations that have permits and have other facilities that overload them will also be shut down, or they will be asked to choose exactly which they want, either to have the pumps or to have the restaurants or to have the churches, as we have seen in other places. Today, the Ga West Municipal Assembly have started, and this is evidence. We hope that this is not a night-day wonder, and that's why I put the question to the minister: will this last?
This is going to be a continuous exercise. Now, as we go around, as you can see, we check and see what should be done and what should not be done. And then those that they shouldn't do, we give them directives. We will come back to check whether they are complying. If they are not complying, the enforcement officers will come. If it means bringing a grader or anything to do it and then billing you, we'll do that. But if after a few days we come in and you haven't done it, we'll do it ourselves and then we'll bill you to pay. If you don't pay, we'll shut down your station.
Meanwhile, the executive director of the EPA, Daniel Amlalo, says the agency will be reviewing its site and policies.
We are looking at zoning, which areas are suitable, the distances involved in how close the filling station should be to a residential facility, how many activities can operate within the area at a time.
All owners of these filling stations have been summoned to a meeting at the EPA tomorrow at 10 in the morning. Barima Osei Asare said the operation will be replicated across the country. Hannah Odame for Joy News.
Drivers who experience incessant delays in their bid to get or renew their roadworthy certificates have been assured the delays will be a thing of the past. The Minister of Transport, Jifativo, gave the drivers the assurance when she paid an unannounced visit to one of the private vehicle inspection stations here in Accra. Nadede Tete was with the Minister and has filed this report.
Following complaints by some drivers on the hassle they go through to acquire their roadworthy certificates, the minister paid an unannounced visit to the BVAC vehicle inspection station at Kuntunse to get first-hand information on the process. At the time of her visit, there were a number of drivers yet to be attended to. The drivers shared their frustration.
The concerns are many. One, the roadway, they are fake in it. Where we accepted, some of us did fake roadway. That's why we have come here. The white man or the white person told the minister that when you come here 15 minutes, you get it and you go, which is a lie. We have been here since this morning. Look at the time. We haven't gone yet. We are still here. So when there's a system that will go and come everybody, we don't have a problem.
We're implementing some seat belt on throttle. But since they started, I haven't seen even one person who have put on seat belt in throttle. So that law, it means it's not favor the drivers. You spend about 1,500 for the seat belt, and the people are not using it. So I don't see why they are using it. They are implementing that thing. So they have to cancel it. It's not necessary.
Isn't it your job to, as a driver, to probably educate your passengers that they should put on their seatbelt?
But they don't. They say it's waste of time because you put on seatbelt here, you go from here to the junction, somebody will get down. Everybody have to remove the seatbelt for them to get down before they enter again. I mean, it can't be possible. So they should leave us alone.
Officials of the vehicle inspection station gave the minister a guided tour through the entire process. The director of the facility outlined some major faults vehicles report with and how they impede their passing of the roadworthy test.
We do produce, it's a byproduct and we've done it freely for DVLA, we do produce monthly statistics for us to assess and also for the DVLA to assess of all the criteria for failure. Okay, the biggest failure on all of, I would imagine 50% or even more of failures. Now we're only talking about failures, yeah? 50% of the failures is lights. Okay?
The headlights?
No, lights collectively. It could be a direction indicator, a brake light, window washer, the horn not working. You know, we've got to put them as electrical, yeah? That is by far the biggest failure.
At the end of the inspection, Transport Minister Jifar Tivo told the drivers her outfit, in collaboration with the DVLA, will work to ensure their concerns are addressed.
Drivers should come and spend the whole day here. This is not where you work. So we are here to identify the issues and sit down and strategize how we can reduce the processes that you have to go through so that you take your certification early enough and go back to work. That is why we are here. That's why I said, if apart from this concern that you've raised, I think that it applies to everybody. All the drivers have the challenge of coming to wait here for hours. People said they came at 5:30. Somebody said he came at 8. Somebody said he came at 11. So that we were going from room to room to check where the process is not efficient, whereby you have to wait. So I want to appeal to you. We have identified certain gaps and we have to work on them so that next time you come here, you go back to your work early enough.
The minister is expected to visit other inspection units in the coming days.
We're taking a break. We have more stories coming up thereafter. In fact, we have business news coming up thereafter. Don't go away.
Business news is. My name is Eton Amsim. Now, the Multimedia Group is partnering the Business and Financial Times Media Group for its annual Ghana Economic Forum. The two-day forum will discuss the current economic challenges and make useful recommendations on the country's economic development goals.
The Economic Forum will bring together leading personalities in private and public sector organizations for the deliberations. For BFT, the partnership with Multimedia Group Limited will help push the agenda of the forum this year.
Multimedia is a strong media organization, and they have radio, they have TV, you have audience, and everyone listens to Joy FM. And so we believe that coming together, as partners, we'll be able to we'll consolidate our positions and also be able to push the same agenda for, the whole of Ghana to listen to what we're saying, to contribute to what because after all, we're trying to build our country. We're trying to develop our country. Once we have a conducive environment for businesses, we'll all stay and work. If that doesn't happen, people will leave and go, and the brains that we have will leave this country and go elsewhere, and they will continue developing other countries. That is not what we want.
CEO of the BFT, Edith Dankwa, says the forum should proffer some solutions to the energy crisis which is crippling businesses.
We are going through an energy crisis, and I want that fixed because it's affecting my business, and I know it's affecting other people's businesses. If we're able to come up, I know the government is doing a lot, but we have, a deficit of, I think, 500 megawatts or so. And as a country, every year we should be adding up 200 megawatts, which is not happening. It only happens in every 4 years. So something has to be done about it so that we're able to run our businesses well, so that we're able to employ.
Regardless of the several workshops on economy organized in recent times, panelists for the forum believe such discussions should help shape a definite economic vision for the country.
Exchange rate stability, one, driving our rates down, and also being able to set a clear agenda in terms of where we want to go as a country. I believe those three things are key and fundamental. We need to stop what I call management by exception. I mean, tackling what comes up, like we have a power crisis, everybody's power crisis focused, but that doesn't tell us where we want to be in the next 5 years. Okay, we need to define exactly where we want to be and to tackle those things that will help us reach there.
The Ghana Economic Forum 2015 will be under the theme Ghanaian-owned economy, setting the agenda for achieving it.
Now, motor insurance policyholders who may not be able to afford an upfront yearly payment of the premium increased by over 800% can pay in monthly installments. Vehicle owners and commercial drivers would from tomorrow be paying over 8 times more than what's for the third-party insurance, according to the Ghana Insurance Association. Even though policyholders could pay monthly, this would come at a higher cost compared with the yearly payments. The Chief Executive, Achu Menyawovo, explained to Joy Business earlier today after the meeting of insurance companies.
Value of your car is let's say 70,000 Ghana cedis, and you drive out of the premises of the insurance company, and you are involved in an accident, the insurance company will pay, even though they've not received enough premium to invest. So they adjust the premium to take care of the fact that even though you have paid just for 1 month, when you are involved in an accident, they are obliged to pay you just as somebody who has paid for the whole 12 months. And then there will also be things like sticker, because it will have to be sticker. The sticker will have to be sold for every month, because whatever sticker you buy for the short period of 1 month will have an expiry date of 1 month on it. So the cost of the sticker will have to be in multiples. So those things add up to making the short period cover more expensive.
Ecobank Transnational Incorporated, parent company of the Ecobank Group, has appointed Ade Ayeyemi as its new Group Chief Executive Officer. His appointment is effective from 1st September 2015. 52-year-old Ade Ayeyemi will replace Ghanaian Albert Essien, who retires on 30th June 2015 after 25 years of meritorious service with the group. An interim arrangement will be made by the Ecobank board for the management of the group during the period 1st July through 31st August, pending the resumption of the new GCEO. Mr. Ayeyemi is a highly experienced banker who has had a long and successful career with Citigroup, where he is currently Chief Executive Officer. And the National Communications Authority says it has recorded 2 million mobile number portability requests as at February this year. The authority asked the process of porting the mobile numbers went through successfully, and that other West African countries are seeking to learn from Ghana's experience.
West Africa Telecommunications Regulators Assembly WATRA, with its 15 member countries, is in Ghana to share experiences in mobile number portability and quality of service.
Don't forget that when we talk about quality of service, we are talking about losing money from consumer side. You as consumer, you don't realize that in a bad network, you're losing money. I mean, losing time is losing money. So what we are looking for is to improve the quality of service in the network so that consumer can enjoy the use of mobile communication.
In spite of the success of the mobile number portability process, the NCE admits there are still challenges with the use of some networks, but says will continue to engage service providers as regulators.
There were challenges in the beginning, but we've come a long way. As of last February, there have been 2 million requests that have been done successfully. And that's why we see our sisters coming over here. I mean, networks are a thing that need continual improvement and enhancements, and that's going to happen. We're constantly looking for and engaging the operators to ensure that there's continual improvement. Again, improvement is not one day event. It's a process, and so we have to take them as you go along, and we engage them on a continuous basis to ensure.
WATRA members will meanwhile be meeting in the next 4 days, deliberating on ways to ensure quality services, market liberalization, harmonizing regulatory structures, among others.
That's it for business. My name is Asare. Many thanks for your time. I know we are mourning, but do have a good business week.
Investigators are now giving the green light to begin an Ebola vaccine trial at the University of Health and Allied Sciences. The Food and Drugs Authority, which gave the approval, says it diligently reviewed the trial protocols and is convinced Ghana can conduct the trials.
The Ebola vaccine trials will test whether the vaccine can build immunity in humans. Chief Executive of the Food and Drugs Authority, Hudu Mokhtari, indicated the clinical trial was approved because the University of Health and Allied Sciences had excellent infrastructure.
Upon discussions with the international partners and with support from its expert technical advisory committees, has granted approval for one trial which will test the safety and immunogenicity of a potential anti-Ebola vaccine in one site in the country. The vaccine being tested has been produced by one of the world's biggest pharmaceutical companies, and the evaluation of the trial protocol was conducted with leading experts in Ghana who are also considering a second application. The FDA, in considering these applications, is mindful of its public health role of protecting Ghana as well as contributing to global health.
Investigators cannot immediately say when the trials will begin, but explain now that the FDA has given its approval, they will begin engaging the Hohoe community and start recruiting participants. In reaction to calls for the clinical trials to be stopped, the Ethical Committee of the Ghana Health Service insists safety of participants is assured. Dr. Amatrewa Edwin of the committee explained participants will be compensated for their time.
You are not mandated to continue once you start, and you'll be looked after. We'll be looking at any effects, anything untoward, whether it is related to the trial or not. All these protective measures have been put in place. The important thing is you want to communicate. So if the person doesn't have a mobile phone, are you going to give them one so you can communicate, or you say because you don't have a mobile phone you can't be part of the research, whereas the person wants to be? So the money is not a benefit, it is compensation for the time, and in addition to that they will get a full dose hepatitis B vaccination.
Ghana is behind schedule as other African countries have already begun their clinical trials.
Well, the Volta regional wing of the ruling National Democratic Congress has sharply criticized plans by the University of Health and Allied Sciences to test an Ebola vaccine on some residents of the region. In a news release signed by the Regional Secretary Simon Amegashi-Viglo, he said the party said the country has not recorded any Ebola case, hence the trial is unnecessary. The Regional Secretary instead advised authorities to channel their trials to cholera, HIV/AIDS, malaria, among other diseases, of which vaccines are needed in Ghana.
If there is a compelling need for Ebola vaccine, it should be in the countries where there is evidence of the disease. Publicity on the matter has been very low. People are not even aware of what the dangers and the risks are. Innocent people are being asked to volunteer themselves for this experiment. We think that the concerns of people have not been addressed enough. Stakeholders in this region have not been properly informed. We are receiving calls. Now what is happening in the region? What is it? We feel that the team has been cancelled. For the whole team to be re-examined again, because people are not happy about this Ebola team. That is our position as a party. That's why we were forced to come out with this appeal to the minister for the program to be cancelled.
Up next, we bring you sports news.
The sports segment is brought to you by
Mixie Milk Powder. Health is a delicious step away.
Now time to talk about some sports, and we'll start with the Black Stars. They played a friendly against Togo this afternoon at the Cross Sports Stadium, all in preparing for the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Bernard Mensah, the debutant of the Black Stars, scored the first goal, but of course Samuel Jan, who is the captain of the Black Stars, says they are very focused on what should happen on Sunday when they play Mauritius despite the win.
A friendly game, a competitive game. We play with our rivals, but we're more focused today, and also just like a training game. We wanted to improve on our tactic and everything. So for me, I think we did quite well. The field didn't help us. They're moving on the ball, but I think we did quite well.
Time to get into the other half, certainly. And Togo coach Thompson Fates, despite the defeat, was happy about the exposure of his team ahead of the 2017 qualifiers this weekend.
Huge respect for Ghana. Ghana was a losing finalist on the World Cup with players who play on top level, and it's a major country, maybe one of the 3-4 major countries in Africa and one of the 16 major countries in world football. So I expected, to be honest, more power play from Ghana, but maybe it was a result of our good play that Ghana couldn't perform like they wanted. Maybe my organization of the team, my discipline of my players, my commitment of my team was the reason that Ghana couldn't play like they want.
The scrutiny has already begun, and Joy Sports caught up with some sports journalists who were at the stadium to see the Black Stars play in Accra after a long while.
If you look at games between neighbors, like Ghana against Togo, definitely said games are dicey. They are too cagey, very uncompromising, because we are neighbors, we know ourselves, our style of play is somehow similar. And the coach used the opportunity to introduce more of the guys, for them to have a feel of the pitch, for them to see how they can play together as a unit. I think it's a good exercise.
It was a very beautiful exercise, and one will expect that with a very important match to be played on Sunday, if you are a coach, you want such an exercise to enable you to assess the battle readiness of your team.
I wouldn't say I was impressed, just that I would say that it's early days yet, because the guys have been out of town for a long time. They haven't played together as a unit or as players with the Black Stars for some time now. And so coming up against the Togolese side, remember that we played against them during the qualifiers for the last Cup of Nations. We won in Togo, we won in Ghana as well. So they also came in with their guns blazing, just that they came up against a very experienced Black Stars side.
Let's wrap it up with boxing now. An undefeated Ghana boxer, Richard Oblite-Komi, this afternoon officially presented his IBF Intercontinental Lightweight title to Sports Minister Dr. Ahmed Musa. Oblite-Komi became the new holder of the title after he stopped Uzbekistan boxer Bahodir Mamajonov in the scheduled 10 round in Las Vegas last month. Komi, who has improved his fight record to 22 wins with 20 knockouts, explained to the minister what motivated him in the ring.
I've come from a long way, Ghana, and I can't just come here and just fight just like go back with empty-handed. So at the back of my mind, I keep telling my coach and my mother that, man, I can't go home empty-handed. I have to take this title back home, and that's what is in my head. And no one has ever done what I did, and for the first time in Las Vegas. Some people don't get it, or to fight for a title fight straight away. My coach is also there, he gives me the guideline. Sometimes you were doing something and you don't know what is going on, because you're very nervous and tense. And he reminded me, man, come on, man, you need to get him back into the game. You got to do it. You have to do it. Look at the people back home in Ghana waiting for you to bring this title home. You don't have to let them down. So when they told me that, I was like, man, I got to do something.
Lots marks up a champion. That's your sport tonight. Israel will join us with some more. Have a good night.
The sports segment was brought to you.
Before we end the bulletin, a non-denominational memorial service was held at the Flagstaff House Monday, beginning the 3-day national mourning for the victims of the flood and fire disasters. The solemn event, which was led by Vice President Kwesi Mr. Arthur, was attended by members of the diplomatic corps, ministers of state, personnel of the security services, the clergy, and representatives of political parties. Participants were clad in black clothing, coupled with red and black armbands to mourn with their affected families. And that's it. My name is Uzolai. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening.
Joy News Prime.